Greetings, salutations, and welcome to the KriegerCast. I'm your host, Patrick Krieger, and today I'll be taking you on a tour of Giant Rock. Giant Rock, as the name implies, is a very large rock. In fact, some people claim that it's the world's largest freestanding boulder. However, I can't prove or disprove that. In the 1930s, a man named Frank Kritzer moved out into the area of Giant Rock and built himself a little home underneath the rock. And I literally mean underneath the rock. He dug it out, poured some concrete, made himself a nice place to live. He also built an airport, and whose runway is the road that you take to get to Giant Rock, and you'll be seeing that right now. However, being a German, and it being the 1930s, he decided it would be a really good idea to build a radio antenna on top of the rock so he can stay in contact with his homeland. And in the 1940s, this did not go very well for him, because the police came and raided his house by throwing some flashbangs down underneath this rock. The flashbangs detonated a store of explosives he had, by the way, for mining, and unfortunately killed Frank. Frank, however, had a friend, and that friend was George Van Tessel. George Van Tessel was a test pilot for Howard Hughes, and he moved out here and restored the house and lived here for a while, even having Howard Hughes come from time to time just to have a slice of his wife's apple pie, Howard Hughes claiming it was the best apple pie in the world. However, things started turning a little bit interesting when in the 1940s, or late 1940s, Van Tessel started being visited by aliens. This was the point when Howard Hughes no longer came to visit. And these aliens told him to build a thing called the Integratron, the Integratron being a very large dome built with no screws or metal supports. And he was going to build this machine and live forever. We will follow that up in a moment. Unfortunately, however, in recent times, some hippies came out here and set fire to parts of the building and things underneath the rock, causing the rock to shatter, and I'm sure you've seen the damage to it by now. So the government came in and bulldozed everything, including the place where the old UFO conventions used to be, the old restaurant that was here, and some such. So it really is quite the shame that Giant Rock no longer is its former glory. However, our friend Van Tessel was not able to complete the Integratron before his death in the 1970s, so sadly it didn't work out for him. But if you're in the area, visit Giant Rock. There's still plenty of remnants from the era, such as these tiles that I found, and plenty of foundations and whatnot. And it's kind of cool to see a piece of 1950s era sci-fi history in its living glory. I hear it's even particularly impressive at night. So, go, visit, and see if you can find some alien wreckage.